This is the Vietnam of the Mekong Delta, one of the 9th Infantry Division's defense areas. It is the Vietnam of endless rice paddies and swamps.
Santiago Vasquez, and I was in the Army. I served with the 39th, 9th Infantry Division in the Mekong Delta around Dong Tam. Being the new guy here, you wanted to learn it, and in less than a month's time, you were a veteran. If you could survive 3 to 4 weeks in Vietnam, out in the field, they considered you a veteran, because they considered the new guys they were not gonna last. You know, there's so much combat. Whenever you turned 18, you had to register for the draft. And if you were 18, you were going to go. And so that's what happened with me. And 1968 was the year that they took more Americans to Vietnam. And I was one of them. I went to training. My basic training was in Fort Bliss, El Paso, Texas. Then from there I went to advanced infantry training in Oakland, California. Those people there. And it's funny that those people that you were with in those trainings, you never saw again. Because you went to Vietnam as an individual. You didn't go with that unit. You didn't go with whoever you trained with or whatever, which was different than other wars. In 1968 was the Tet Offensive. And that's when the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong attacked the major cities and villages in Vietnam. When I was drafted, I was still afraid of the dark. And my MOS, or my job in Vietnam, was night ambush. So we were out as a squad, about 6 to 7 people, to set up an ambush in the night, at night, to try to encounter the enemy. And we set it up so that in the jungle or in the rice paddy, so that it would be over in seconds. You wanted to get rid of the enemy, kill the enemy in seconds. You didn't want it to linger so that they could shoot back or whatever. You wanted it to be over in seconds. So if the first thing we did, if we saw somebody coming into our ambush, was we had claymores on both ends of it. We hit the claymore mines, set off the blast, and then we started with small arms and the machine gun at the same time. Try to get everybody in seconds. And that was my job, to be out there with 6 or 7 guys. Can you imagine? And of course, during the day, if we didn't get an ambush, then they'd send us out on search and destroy to the villages, walk through them, because we were already in the jungle usually. Walk through that jungle, come out on the other side, and then sometimes they'd come and pick us up in helicopters, and or we'd walk back, you know. But we walked everywhere and flew everywhere, you know. The first time that I got in a firefight in Vietnam, I had been there probably about a week, and they put me with my 9th Division into my squad and my platoon, and we went out as a platoon that time. And of course I was scared. Everybody's scared in Vietnam, and people say they weren't scared. I don't know what I could say about them, but I was scared the whole time. So we were set up that night, and it was my guard at 2, from 2 to 3. I knew that something was wrong, because the crickets and the insects, they weren't making any noise. So kept listening and listening, and I thought I could hear someone walking through the water, through the rice paddy, walking through the water, just very, very slowly, and I could hear the water as they're stepping, and they were being very, very careful. And so, but I couldn't see anything. It was pitch dark. And so I was relieved from my guard, and the guy that came on, I told him, I think there's somebody out there. I think I can hear him walking in the water, but I don't see anybody. I couldn't see anybody. So I laid down, and he came on guard. And about 10 minutes later, he hit the Claymore mines. We started in a firefight, right? And I was scared. I didn't fire a shot, but I was shaking so bad from being scared that I couldn't grab my rifle. But everybody else was shooting, because they had been there for a while. But they hit us with RPGs, machine gun fire, small arms, and so forth. But during that whole time, I didn't fire a shot. I was too afraid. I was very lucky in Vietnam. I survived. I helped my buddies get through. Some of them didn't make it, but I did. I never got wounded in Vietnam. I never got a Purple Heart, but I did receive a Bronze Star with V device for valor in combat, for heroism. And I can't remember some of the people's names, some of the guys' names, and maybe some of the incidents I don't recall. It's 50 years ago. But I do remember where I got my Bronze Star. We have a Tiger Scout who is a Vietnamese who is now helping the American troops. We're walking into the wood line, and he stepped on a booby trap. And that booby trap killed him, hit 3 other guys behind him, and then I was the 4th person with radio. And it was a firefight right then. From all around us, they started firing, and snipers, small arms, machine guns, RPGs. So we fought our way out of that. Probably about, it seemed like hours, but it's probably 15, 20 minutes, and then it was over. So then I had to call in for a medevac to get the guys who were injured pulled out. And then we called in mortars, and we called in artillery on where they were sniping us from. Then I had to call in the medevac. We set up a perimeter to keep them from firing on the medevac. They came in, and my friend Bill Roberts, he was the one who was the most injured by the booby trap, and it almost blew his leg off. And so carrying him to the helicopter, I had one person carrying him, and I was carrying his leg. Yeah. We had the firefight until just before it got dark, and I guess like in combat, sometimes you lose it. That after I had been there a while, so I fired all my ammunition threw all my grenades. And the platoon leader said, I'm sending you back. So they sent me back for 3 days. and got everybody out. I never saw my friend again.
Maybe you talk about what it was like coming home.
It was difficult. Yeah, I came home. Nobody was there to meet me in the big. I've heard stories about people spitting on him. I was not treated that way. Nobody knew. I changed to my civilian clothes as soon as I could, and I wanted to forget about it. Came home. My wife at that time, she picked me up, and a week later I was working and trying to forget about Vietnam.
Yeah.
So for 30, 40 years I forgot about Vietnam. The guys some of the guys I knew, my friends, they knew that I was in Vietnam back and okay. But there was people that I knew from around town that they go, "Hey man, where were you at? Were you locked up or something?" They thought I was in prison or something. I go, "No, I was in Vietnam." They go, "Oh, okay," and they slighted that off like it wasn't anything. It was a big deal. It changed my life. It changed my life for good. I think it was a positive thing for me. It did. It changed my life. I came back and I went to school on the GI Bill. I got my degree and started a career and retired from the state government after 25 years. It was good for me, and I think that affected my family, because I knew how tough life could be. So it made me appreciate life. And I wanted to help somebody else, other veterans. And I couldn't for many years, but yeah. And it really is good for individuals later on. I realize that it's good to talk about it, and even though it's emotional sometimes. But for them, there's some still can't talk about it. It's been 50 years, they still can't talk about it. But hopefully, one of the things I did do was I started the first Vietnam Veterans of America group in Roswell. A post that we started here, and I'm not sure if you've seen that movie Platoon. That Platoon movie came out, and so what I did was I got a hold of Vietnam veterans in this area, and I had the premiere showing at the theater for those Vietnam veterans. They got to see it first. And I got enough of them that we filled up the theater, and it didn't cost them anything. And then I was one of the counselors. Then I had another friend of mine who was with the 9th Infantry Division, Rudy Los Santos. And after we saw the movie, of course it's very difficult to see it. After we saw the movie, me and him got together with veterans after the movie. But I think that was and we established the Vietnam Veterans of America chapter in Roswell. And I was the first organizer of that. And I take a lot of pride in that. Later on, I don't know what happened with it. There's another chapter, whatever, but I did that. Yeah.
That's amazing.